Welcome back to Mini-Modelog and episode 10 of what have I bought this month. So this is episode 10, and I said in, I think, mid-month and previous that I was going to buy farmers this month. I sort of came into a bit of extra money, so yeah. Didn't happen. Apologies to anyone who was waiting on the farmers. They will be coming at some point, so we'll be buying them at some point. It's just with a little bit of extra money I could afford to buy this and really start to knock into Age of Sigmar. Now, obviously I talked about Age of Sigmar a couple of times in the last month and was saying that I was looking at it about getting back into it. Now, I had an old fantasy Warhammer Skaven army, I'm sure I've spoken about it before, and I thought, well, why not? Why not get it out of the loft, have a look what I've got, point it up in Age of Sigmar, and after about 10-15 minutes realised I had about 3,500 points worth of Skaven sat upstairs doing nothing. So I thought, well, you know what, let's go down the Pestilence route, buy the starting collecting box and sort of start again doing Age of Sigmar. And it was the app, because I could get all the war scrolls and all the rest of it through the app without having to pay anything. I was like, yeah, go for it, let's give this a go. And that's what got me back into it. So I'll be doing an Age of Sigmar month where I'll cover the app, why the app got me back into it. I'll cover what's in this box and also talk about whether these, and then do another video talking about whether these are actually worth the money in comparison to buying the items separately, as well as does it get me actually started, do I need much more, and I'll talk about that. I'll also talk about this book and what this gives you compared to the app, so there'll be a couple of different videos this month, basically all on Age of Sigmar. So if you're an Age of Sigmar fan, fantastic. It will be Skaven based, and I will talk about my army quite a lot, but gives you a gist of Age of Sigmar a little bit. If you are an Age of Sigmar fan, you're obviously going to be waiting on the malign portents storyline and models, and that all kicks in on the 10th of Feb, and we're on to the news. So I thought, get that in your diary. You can pre-order a lot of the stuff right now, so you can pre-order if you're a Death fan, the Legions of Nagash book. You can also pre-order the malign portents book, as well as the dice, and a couple of other items for the storyline, including the, I think, the 4 or 5 heroes they're releasing. Obviously, in the last couple of months, you've had the Magotkin of Nurgle and Legions of Nagash come out with proper battle tomes for them. You're now going to get the Daughters of Khaine battle tome. Now, I've had a quick look at what this includes, and it really is an elf army, but it seems to me like it's the Dark Elf Witch Elf arm of it. So you're going to get a Cauldron of Blood. So if you already own Witch Elves and a Cauldron of Blood, you're already going to want to go maybe down this route, down the Daughters of Khaine route, and that'll allow you to actually be a Witch Elf only type army, which I think is really cool. Which is I've seen before where people have just fielded Witch Elves in a Dark Elf army, but now it's an army in its own right, which is great. So do go check those out on the Warhammer community page. I'll pop a link down below. Things I can confirm from mid-month news, which I'll pop a link for up here. Mid-month news, I talked about possible Necromunda releases, possibly the warbands being released for Shadespire. I now have a date, so bob this in your diary, 17th of Feb. That'll be when you get both warbands, so the Fireslayers and the Skaven warband, and also a new book for Necromunda and the Orlocks. So there's a lot coming this month, because obviously Malign Portents is on the 10th, that's all on the 17th. And that's not including the Thousand Suns releases that are due this next month. So much going on. And that's all the releases from sort of Games Workshop this month. Other things that have been announced on the community page, obviously we had the Las Vegas Open and there was a lot of news that were announced on there, including the upcoming codexes, which include Drukhari, Tau Empire, and the Necrons. So if you collect any of those armies, don't worry, your codexes are due. So I imagine that'll be sort of March, April, maybe into May releases. I haven't got any dates yet. I'll inform you if they end up putting dates on as soon as I get them, so keep an eye out for that. Codexes are one thing. We all love books and they all help us if we've been for legacy players. But if you're looking for new models, your Imperial Knights are getting a new model, which will be the Knight Amiga, I'm calling it. It'll give you new tactical possibilities for Imperial Knight players, and we'll also give you a kind of medieval lord in the main knight, and these guys are a little bit smaller, so you can really get a kind of warband of knights going if you really want to, which is great. The Necrons, they'll be receiving a reinforcement, which makes me think that the Necrons may be coming first for the codexes, because they've announced a new character in a Cryptek. Now I think there was Cryptex before, but this is the first plastic kit they've done for Cryptex. So all you Necron players, look out for that, and I'll pop a link again down below for that. So that's all these sort of Games Workshop releases and news of things that are going to come in the upcoming months. On to Steamforged. Now the big news from Steamforged is there's been a couple of new releases of things. One is the release of the Dark Souls card game. Now I've not really talked about this. They've released a Dark Souls board game, which is a miniatures board game, but they're also now releasing a card game as well. So I'll pop links down below for both of those. If you want to go check them out, if you're a Dark Souls fan on computer games, do go check those out. The other big news is I've talked about Godtear a couple of times and the fact that they've had, you know, images of new models. They finally released the information for the early access kit. Now the early access kit allows you to be part of the development process for Godtear. It gives you a couple of the heroes for Godtear. It gives you a load of other models as well as blank dice, stickers, hex tiles. Gives you a whole horde of things. But I'll go through a list in just a moment. Costs £120 to be involved, but for that you get as follows. Blackjaw the Exile, Rodri the Ironheart, Lorsane the Autumnal Wind, which I think is Elfish, Raethmurd the Unbroken Tide. They're like your 4 heroes, and then you get their minions, which include 5 orcs, 4 dwarves, 3 elves, 3 water sprites. So they're all your models that you get for your £120. But you also get a dry white playmat, 24 blank dice, 12 MDF tokens, 1 tri-hex, 12 MDF hexes, 70 health cubes, and then 3 sheets of stickers. And the idea with the dice being blank is you can change the odds of the dice through using the stickers, basically. So it gives you a way of changing the odds and also seeing how those odds reflect in your games, and it's really to get the community involved in the development process of the game. I give that a thumbs up because there's not many games companies that would take that risk. Personally, I don't have £120 spare. I only spend so much a month on models, as you all know, so I think I'll be waiting to see the outcome of this and see how this develops the game. In Guild news, I've mentioned the rat catchers several times. I've popped up images on all sorts of different places, but I finally have a month of release. It'll be April. I think the 28th is what's rumoured. I'll hopefully confirm that out at the mid-month news later on in the month, but cost is £45. I can say that for definite, and the pre-orders are already available on the Steamforged website. I tried to pre-order mine and they're already sold out. So come on, Steamforged, up your orders, because obviously people want these, me included. And then of course they're doing the dice again. If you're into themed dice, they're doing a themed rat catchers dice, and they'll be £10 for the set, much like all the other sets. So that's the rat catchers covered. They're also releasing some special Valentine's Day models, much like they did in October for Oktoberfest and Halloween. They decided to do something for Valentine's Day. Now, if you know the history and you know some of the backstories, it's going to be 2 Valentine's Day models from the Butcher's Guild, and it's going to be Boiler and Original Brisket. And basically, Boiler always had a crush on Brisket, so they've done like these 2 models, which kind of work together quite nicely. But you're also going to get a puppy version of Princess with a ball, which I think is really cool, and I may buy that model if I can buy it separately. But I don't know what the prices are going to be as yet, and how they're going to do it, whether they're going to do it as a box set or whether they're going to do it as individual modules. I'll update you on that when I have more information. But that actually links quite nicely. If you don't know the backstories of Guild Ball and you are thinking, well, before I get into this game, I'm kind of a story person, I want to know what the backstory is. There is an audiobook been released called Tale of the Three Cities. It's going to be an ongoing series. They've started, I think, with the Union in Chains as a starting point. And it's someone basically reading the very well-written storylines created by Sherwin Matthews, who's the guy who writes all the fantastic backstories to Guild Ball. I sort of bent Matt's ear last time I saw him about releasing it as a book form, but someone's actually done it as an audiobook, and Steamforged are behind it, which I think is fantastic. So if you haven't checked out that, I'll pop a link down below. The last thing is, if you're a brand new player to Guild Ball or you don't know what I'm talking about, but you're interested, as well as checking out the lore and the history, they've re-released their 2 sort of what I would call the core teams, what we're kind of like the 2 cornerstones when Season 1 was around, which was the Fisherman's Guild and the Butcher's Guild. They're re-releasing theirs in plastic, PVC, much like they did with the Mason's Guild, much like they did with the Brewers Guild, and of course all the newer guilds like the Farmers is in plastics. They're going to re-release these with some resculpts of certain models. I know Tenderizer has a resculpt on Indiegogo. Now Indiegogo is a Kickstarter equivalent that's American. Cost is around $100, but for that you get the full team plus terrain pieces plus goals, which you didn't have and we've never had for those teams. So if you're a brand new player, I think this is a great buy because you do get the entire team. Personally, I'm not interested because there's only about 4 or 5 models I want, which include the terrain pieces, includes some of the resculpts, but I'm sure they'll come up on eBay within due course. So that, I think, covers all the news I have for you this week. Obviously, you'll get mid-month news, which I'll give you updates and more things and as new things come out, both on the Steamforge website and the Games Workshop website. You've noticed that Malifaux has sort of dropped off the radar a little bit, and that's purely because I need to paint it all, and I'm still trying to get around to doing that. But I will do more Malifaux as and when I can, and when I can afford it. As I say, I'm not rolling in money, and I do this all off my own back. So, but I'll see you next week, where we'll start the Age of Sigmar kind of journey, where I'll talk about the Age of Sigmar app, why it got me back into Age of Sigmar, what was good about it, what I think's not so good about it, and the fact that it's free and that you can subscribe. But I'll give you more information on that next week, so do check that out. For now, I'll see you next time.